Have you ever had that feeling deep down that you're living in a world that's not quite real? Not in a scary way, but in the way a shadow isn't the object itself, just its projection. It's this nagging feeling that what we see with our eyes, what we touch with our hands, is just a fraction of the story. You feel like you're playing a role in a grand movie, but you never got a copy of the script, so you just react. You react to the news, to your boss, to your bank account, to the drama in your life. You spend your days putting out fires, navigating a world that just seems to happen to you. What if I told you that feeling is the truest, most honest intuition you've ever had? What if I told you that you're not in a movie, but you're in the director's chair with a blindfold on? And the reason it all feels so chaotic is that your hands are on the controls, and you're moving them without even knowing it. This isn't poetry. This is the deepest secret of our existence, a secret that has been hidden in plain sight, whispered in ancient texts and rediscovered by quantum physics. You aren't just a part of reality. You are the sole creative operator of your personal reality. And tonight, you are going to learn how to consciously take the helm. Let's start with a radical idea, one that will challenge everything you've been taught. You are currently living in a cross-section of reality. Imagine a movie film strip. You're looking at one single frame and calling it your entire life. But right next to that frame, an infinite number of other frames, past, present, and future, all exist right now simultaneously. This isn't a theory, it's a description of a higher dimension, the fourth dimension. In our three-dimensional world, we experience time as a straight line, a relentless march from yesterday to tomorrow. We're trapped in its flow. But from the perspective of the fourth dimension, time is a landscape. All moments, all possibilities are spread out like a vast, endless terrain. Every possible future you can imagine for yourself, the one where you're wildly successful, the one where you're traveling the world, the one where you're deeply in love, it doesn't need to be created. It already exists. It's a finished, complete frame on that cosmic film strip. The only question is, which frame are you going to illuminate? Which one are you going to step into and experience as your solid, three-dimensional present? This is what the great mystics and visionaries, like Neville Goddard, spent their lives trying to tell us. The difference between you and the version of you living your wildest dreams isn't time, effort, or luck. It's simply a shift in consciousness. You don't attract a future. You don't manifest it out of thin air. You select it. And when you understand this, when you truly grasp that you hold the selector switch, the entire power structure of the world, which is built on you believing you are small and powerless, begins to look very, very fragile. You become ungovernable. So why isn't this front page news? Why aren't we taught this in school? Because a population that believes it is at the mercy of circumstance is a population that can be controlled. We are taught to be good little cause and effect machines. Work hard and maybe you'll succeed. Be good and maybe you'll be rewarded. Wait for external conditions to change. It's the mindset of a prisoner who has forgotten the door to their cell was never locked. This isn't a malicious conspiracy in the way you might think. It's a system of social conditioning that has been perfected over centuries. It teaches you to trust only your five senses. If you can't see it, it's not real. It teaches you to look outside of yourself for salvation, for permission, for validation. It turns your attention outward, toward the screen of life, ensuring you never look inward at the projector, which is where the real power lies. Think of the world as a magical mirror, a perfect, flawless, utterly impersonal mirror. It has no judgment, no opinions, and no preferences. It cannot originate anything on its own. Its only function is to reflect, with perfect mathematical precision, whatever is placed before it. Now, what is it that we are placing before this mirror? It's not our positive thoughts. It's not our affirmations repeated like a parrot. It is our consciousness, our state of being, the deep core feeling and assumption of who we are. This is where it gets tricky, because we entered this three-dimensional game with a self-imposed amnesia. We voluntarily agreed to forget our true nature as the creative power of our universe. Why? for the thrill of the adventure. What's the point of playing a video game if you have all the cheat codes and know how every level ends? The joy is in the discovery, the growth, the suspense. This veil of forgetfulness is what makes the experience of life so real, so poignant, so meaningful. But the paradox is that even though we've forgotten we're the creators, the creative mechanism never stops working. It's always on. Every single moment of every day, you are broadcasting a signal to this cosmic mirror. When you worry about money, you are assuming the state of being poor, and the mirror faithfully reflects back more lack. When you replay arguments in your head, you are embodying the state of conflict, and the mirror brings you more reasons to fight. It's not a punishment. It's a law, like gravity. The mirror isn't cruel, it's just impeccably accurate. The tragedy of humanity is not that the system is broken. The tragedy is that we are the powerful operators of a perfect system, and we're completely ignorant of the user manual. We are creating our lives by default, unconsciously, and then calling the results fate. So, how do we stop creating by accident and start creating by design? This is where we move from philosophy to a precise, practical technology of the mind. It is a process for consciously accessing the fourth dimension and selecting your desired reality. This is the heart of it all. Are you ready? First, you must know exactly what you want. And I don't mean I want to be happy or I want more money. That's too vague. The mechanism of creation is like a master craftsman. It requires a precise blueprint. What does your desired reality look like specifically? If it's a new job, what's the title? Where is the office? How much do you earn? Be definite. Write it down. Get crystal clear on the destination. Second, and this is crucial, you need to construct a single, tiny event. A scene, which implies that your desire is already a finished fact. The key word here is implies. You are not going to imagine the moment you get the thing. You are going to imagine a moment after you've gotten it. Why? Because imagining getting something still holds the tension of wanting it. Imagining a scene after it's done implies it is already a natural, established part of your life. For example, if you desire a promotion, don't imagine your boss telling you the news. Imagine a friend congratulating you a week later, shaking your hand and saying, "I can't believe you're the new manager." If you desire to be healed, don't imagine the process of healing. Imagine yourself doing something you couldn't do before, like running on the beach or lifting your grandchild with ease. This scene should be short, no more than a few seconds long, and it must involve you. You must be an actor in the scene, not a spectator watching a movie of yourself. Now for the third and most mystical step, the application. This is done in the state between wakefulness and sleep. Every night as you lie in bed, you enter a special gateway. Neville Goddard called it the state akin to sleep, or SATS. It's that drowsy, dreamlike state where your body is relaxed, your conscious mind is quiet, but you are not yet fully asleep. Your logical, 3D-bound brain is offline, and your connection to the fourth dimension is wide open. This is the laboratory. This is the workshop of God. Lie down comfortably, close your eyes, and get physically still. So still that you feel your body is just a heavy, inanimate object. This physical immobilization is vital because you are about to engage in a dimensional action, not a physical one. Once you are in that relaxed, drowsy state, bring your short, imaginary scene to your mind's eye. But do not just watch it. You must step into it. If the scene is your friend shaking your hand, you must feel the grip of their hand. Feel the texture of their skin. Hear their voice in your inner ear, not as a distant memory, but as if they are right there. You must experience this short scene through your own imaginary senses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? You loop this single, sensory-vivid act over and over and over again like a lullaby. You don't force it. You gently fall into it. The goal is to repeat this condensed scene with so much sensory vividness that it takes on the tones of reality. You want to feel the inner conviction, the quiet thrill of knowing it is done. You repeat this loop until one of two things happens. You either fall asleep while inside the action, Or your consciousness is so permeated with the feeling of the wish fulfilled that you simply know, with a certainty beyond all logic, that it is yours. Then you drop it and drift off to sleep. In that moment of sleep, you have successfully impressed your subconscious mind with a new reality. You have selected a new frame on the film strip. Now, what happens next? Nothing and everything. The biggest test comes in the days and weeks that follow. You will wake up into your old 3D reality. The bank account might still be empty. The symptoms might still be there. The world of your senses will scream at you, nothing has happened. It was just a dream. This is the great test. This is where millions fail. They dig up the seed to see if it's growing. This practice requires a kind of controlled schizophrenia. By day, you walk through your current reality, performing your duties, but inwardly, you hold onto your secret. Inwardly, you are living from the end. You carry the feeling, the quiet confidence of the person who already has what you desire. You've already experienced it in the only reality that matters, the reality of consciousness. When doubt creeps in, you remind yourself, it is done. When fear whispers, you go back to the feeling of your scene. You must persist in this assumption. Your new mental diet consists of only one thought. My desire is a finished fact. What is actually happening during this time lag? The mirror of the universe is reorganizing itself to match your new projection. A complex series of events which you could never plan or orchestrate begins to unfold. People will have sudden urges to call you. Obstacles will mysteriously dissolve. You'll overhear a conversation or see an ad that leads you to the perfect opportunity. These are what Carl Jung called synchronicities. Neville called them a bridge of incidents. From your limited 3D perspective, it will look like a series of fortunate coincidences, of luck. But from the higher 4D perspective, it's simply the world bending and contorting itself to correspond to your unwavering inner assumption. Your assumption, held with conviction, has no choice but to objectify itself as fact. It has no choice but to become your reality. The brutal, terrifying, and liberating truth is this. Your future is determined entirely by your own consciousness, right now. In every moment, you are at a crossroads. You can react to the shadows on the wall, the reflections from your past assumptions, which will only perpetuate more of the same. Or you can choose to respond from your desired end. You can choose to feel what you would feel if your dream were already true. This power has always been yours. You've been using it your entire life, just unconsciously. You are where you are right now because of your sustained assumptions up to this point. There is no one to blame and no one to credit but yourself. This is the radical responsibility that most people run from. It's easier to be a victim of fate than to be the sole author of your life, including its pain and its failures. But it is also the only path to true freedom. So tonight, I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking you to test this. Don't treat this as another interesting video to be filed away. Treat it as an experiment. Your life is the laboratory. Choose one specific desire, something you truly want. Create your short, simple scene implying its fulfillment. And tonight, before you sleep, enter that state akin to sleep and live in that scene. Do it with the focus and seriousness of a scientist. And then do it again tomorrow night and the night after. Persist until that feeling of it is done becomes your dominant mood. Do not look for signs for the first few days. The gardener does not dig up the seed. He waters it with faith. He trusts in the invisible law of growth. Your job is not to figure out how it will happen. The how is the domain of the universe. Your only job is to live in the what. To live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The world will rearrange itself. It must. It is law. You have been asleep, dreaming that you are a puppet. But now you are waking up and you're starting to see the strings. And you realize with a shock that the strings are not attached to a puppet master above you. They are attached to your own fingers. The choice is simple, but it is not easy. You can continue to react to the shadows, living a life dictated by past programming. Or you can begin to live deliberately, from the inside out, consciously choosing which version of your infinite future you wish to experience. The future you will occupy already exists. It's waiting for you to claim it. The only question that remains is, which one will you choose?